So I'm going to start trying something new here on my channel. I would like to share with you guys some of our favorite meals. So I'm starting out with a week's worth of breakfasts. If you are interested in these types of videos, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoy this, click the like button so that I know that you'd like to see more videos like this. So this is going to be a week's worth of breakfasts, which is only 5 because we usually have cereal or something simple on another day. So the very first thing that I'm going to share is our tried and true favorite, the apple cinnamon oatmeal. I've shared this one in a day in the life video and everyone was asking me for the recipe. So that's basically it. Syrup, apple, cinnamon, and oatmeal. That's all you need. And so basically all you do is cut up the apple, and I always just leave the skin on because it really does soften and the skin has a lot of nutrients in it. So I like to leave the skin on, and I cut the apple up into kind of like bite-sized chunks, not too small but not too big. Obviously you can kind of change this to preference. You can add more or less apples. Basically what I do is I cut up one apple and then I put it in a pot with boiling water, and basically the water just covers the apple. I don't add too much water because you'll see that later on I add a little bit more water once I've added the rolled oats. This isn't actually any type of specific recipe, so you can see here I just kind of sprinkle some cinnamon on over the top. I have been known to add too much cinnamon and my kids don't like that, so I'm trying to be more cautious here and put just a little bit of cinnamon in, and you can kind of add as much as you'd like. You can also add in other spices like allspice or nutmeg or things like that. I've even added some little bit of vanilla extract sometimes. Now, once your apples have boiled for a while, and this will depend on how big the pieces were and how many you have there in the pot, but once it has boiled and once they are soft to the touch, I usually just take a fork and kind of stab the biggest one that's in the pot. Once they are done, I will just go ahead and add in a cup or two, depending on how much I'm making, of rolled oats. Once again, like I said, this is really not a structured recipe. This is something that I make so often that I just kind of throw in some apples and some cinnamon and some oats and call it a day, and it works perfectly fine. Now, this is the part at which I would add more water. So I don't know why I do it like this. It is just what I do, but I always have a kettle on my stove of pre-boiled water, usually from that morning from making tea or coffee, and I will just pour some in. As you can see here, I've added some water and I've just kind of stirred it up, put it back on the heat for a little while until most of that water has evaporated and those rolled oats have had time to absorb some of the moisture. Now, what I've found is that people do not like their oatmeal the same way. Our family prefers it to not be very wet, but I know a lot of people don't like that. So obviously cook it the way you would like it. And then we just add in a little bit of almond milk and some real maple syrup, and that's it. Next is the egg and bacon bites. These are really, really simple. So I started out by using some uncured bacon and I just cut it up into little pieces. You can see here it's no antibiotics, no growth hormones, vegetarian, gluten-free, no added sugars and all of that. So while that bacon is browning in the pan, I just go ahead and prepare the rest of the ingredients. So you are going to need 6 eggs, and then you can also add in some milk of your choice. In this case, we are adding almond milk because my middle son cannot have dairy. So we're adding in the almond milk to the eggs and just whisking it together. I read an article, and I can't remember which magazine it's from, but it's from some type of food magazine. And they suggested that, or they did a study, and they said that whisking with a fork is just as good as whisking with a whisk for eggs. And so that's just what I always do. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I do. Then you just add in your ingredients. Here I'm using vegan cheese just because my son can't have dairy. Obviously, you can use any kind of cheese you want, anything from cheddar to Gruyere to brie to feta, anything that you like. Put it in there and then go ahead and add your meat. You could just as easily use sausage or ham or something else that you prefer in your meat, maybe even a turkey sausage or a turkey bacon. And all you do is just take little pieces and fit it into the mold. As you can see, I just used my hands because it was simple and convenient, and then I just needed to wash my hands after. And that's all you do. Then I baked it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes, and it may depend on your oven and the molds that you use and the size and all that. But this is what they look like. And then you can keep them in your fridge for up to maybe 5 days, but you can also freeze them, which makes them really convenient, and they're delicious as well. Next, we have apple cinnamon blender muffins. These are really easy and they're really good. I like this recipe because it doesn't have a lot of cleanup and it makes it really easy to just pour your ingredients from the blender into a muffin tin. So here I am just cutting up the apple and I cut it into little chunks. Once again, I leave the skin on. That's just what I always do. Even when I make homemade applesauce, I leave the skin on. So you need almond flour, coconut oil, pitted dates, ground cinnamon, some baking soda, some eggs, and a banana. Very, very simple. These are probably ingredients you already have in your house for the most part. So all you have to do is just cut up that apple and then everything else goes into the blender. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the applesauce. This also has applesauce. So you have the apples, the banana, the applesauce, and the dates, which all make them a very sweet muffin, but obviously not overly sweet because it's all natural sugars. So it's really good. It's something that you can even use as a little treat for your kids as well because they're not going to know that it's super healthy. So once everything is in the blender, you just blend it up. It does all of the work for you. And like I said, it makes it really easy to just pour it out into muffin tins. Then you just bake it in your oven for 15 to 18 minutes in a 350-degree oven, and that's it. They're all ready to go. These also keep really well, about a week or so, especially if you put them in the fridge. And like I said, they're really easy and everybody loves them. Next up is one of my favorite breakfasts. It's avocado toast. It is about the easiest thing you can make. All I do is use a piece of Ezekiel bread and I just toast it up in the toaster as much as I like. And then I have a very nice ripe avocado here. It's actually slightly too ripe, as you can see by the brown spots, but it was still really good. And all I do is just cut it into a few little slices. I usually use half of a, normal sized avocado. If it's a very tiny avocado, sometimes I use the whole thing, but usually I use half of an avocado and then I just spread the avocado all over the piece of toast. And then the best part about this is the Everything But the Bagel Sesame Seasoning Blend. This is from Trader Joe's, but Aldi sells one now as well. I just picked one up the other day. So if you don't have a Trader Joe's near you, but you do have an Aldi, look for theirs. It doesn't have the same title, but it's exactly the same ingredients. So all I do is just sprinkle a little bit over the top, and that's it. That is breakfast. I will usually eat this with a smoothie, a small smoothie, or maybe some fruit, but that's it. That's all you need. It's really filling and really delicious. Okay, so this is one of our new favorites. Our son Gregory cannot have wheat or dairy or sugar. So this is like the perfect bread for him. It does take a little bit more time, which is kind of why I added it to the end of this video. You have to have some almond flour on hand and you also need to have a zucchini. So the zucchini is what makes it really, really good. So all you do is just measure out your ingredients. And you mix all of your dry ingredients together first. And then in a separate bowl, you're going to mix together all of your wet ingredients. And I always crack my eggs first just in case I get a shell. Then I add in the vanilla. And my little trick with the banana is that while it is still in the skin and it's got some brown dots on it, I just squish it up. And it makes the banana really soft to come out. That way it's easy to kind of mash in with all the other wet ingredients. And yeah, it just makes it really easy. And then you just add in your honey and you use a hand mixer, or you could honestly make this in a stand mixer as well. I just always prefer my hand mixer. I think it's much easier to clean. And yeah, you just mix it all together. Next up is the zucchini. All I do here is just kind of shred it on a plate. Obviously, there's probably a better way to do this, but this is just what I do. And I shred it up on the plate, and then you just add it into that mixture. Next, you're going to pour in the dry ingredients and mix them again with the mixture, just kind of a little bit at a time, slowly adding it in. And then once it's all combined, you're ready to pour it into your loaf pan. You can also make this as muffins or mini muffins as well. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. It is really, really delicious. And you could even kind of spruce it up and add like a crumble to the top of it, or you could add chocolate chips to it. And yeah, it's just really, really good. I highly recommend this one. Okay, last but not least, this is probably the easiest of all of the cooked breakfasts. All I do is brown some local sausage that we get that we absolutely love. I brown it up. I like it pretty crispy, so this is kind of up to the way you like it. And then after it's browned, all I do is crack a couple of eggs over the top and then I just scramble it all together. I do it all in one pan. If it is extra greasy for some reason, which you can see here it really isn't, but if it is, I'd probably pour out some of the grease and then I would add the eggs. But I love just cracking the eggs over the top and then scrambling it all up together and calling it a day. It is super quick and easy. It is delicious. And that everything but the bagel seasoning, oh, I love adding that to my eggs as well. So I highly recommend doing that. I like putting nutritional yeast on my eggs also, but that may be a preference thing. If you're not into nutritional yeast, which does taste like cheese, I would recommend just putting some cheese on it. But I don't use any butter in the pan. I don't put any milk in it or anything like that because, as I said before, my son Gregory cannot have dairy. So we keep it completely dairy free, and it's super simple and delicious. So that's about a week's worth of breakfasts in our home. Like I said, we will do smoothies or cereal or something simple like that on another day, but these are the ones that I like to cook on a regular basis. Please let me know that you enjoyed this video by subscribing to my channel and clicking that like button. If I see that the like button has been clicked, I will know that I should be making more videos like this. I would love to share lunches and dinners with you as well. So make sure you subscribe and have a great day.